Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer with Oculus Rift Reviews. Today we're going to do a review for FPS Infinite, a free-to-play game on the Steam store for the HTC Vive Valve Index on the Oculus Rift. I believe Windows Mixed Reality does work as well, but I haven't been able to test it out, but it seems from the forums that it does work. This is by Fruit Software, and Fruit is obviously a person that's pretty well known in VR. He's made several VR games. He's an active developer. He'll respond to reviews. I have no doubt he'll respond to my review. I'll just preemptively say that I review games as is at the time that I play them. I don't consider myself a play tester. I just basically report to you guys what my observations were during my playtime. I only played it for 2 hours, so I didn't have the most time into it. But at the same time, I understand it's a free-to-play game, and I enjoy it for what it is, but it's not a game that I would want to invest many hours in. This is a shooter with procedural generation. It does have full locomotion, but it does not have snap or smooth turning. Instead, you use the left joystick, obviously, to move around, forward, backward, strafe, left to right, and use the right joystick to select different weapon abilities. I did have an issue at some point where the weapon abilities weren't switching. I have no idea why. But you can reconfigure the button mapping. So I do like that. You can change the way you remap the weapons to whatever you want, which is good. It did have this odd, though, bug or error, or I'm not sure what you want to call it, but the movement seemed buggy to me. The reason I say that is because it had like this momentum to it almost. I'm not sure what it is, but it seems like your character goes sometimes more forward than you intend, or sometimes it'll just go left or right. So it makes it very easy to fall off ledges because you're just not always going in the direction that you think you will. I'm not sure exactly what the issue is with movement, but it's definitely an issue there. It's just not very smooth movement. And if you look at my gameplay video very carefully, you'll see that sometimes I move around like a drunken sailor. And that's not me messing around with the joystick. That's just the character, the movement of this game, which is very counterintuitive and very frustrating. Especially because you are doing some platforming. You are having to jump from one platform to another. You're trying not to fall into the liquid, whether it's water or whatever, because sometimes you do get damage from falling into it. So you want to avoid that. But with the movement style, it makes it difficult because, like I said, you're moving around like a drunk sailor, which makes this game something not too pleasant to play. That's really the one killer thing about this game that really kept me from enjoying it. I have to be honest here, I'm not the biggest fan of Fruit's work. I respect Fruit. Obviously, he's been doing VR games, but I kind of feel he has like an old style way of doing VR games. I don't believe he has full locomotion or smooth turning in any of his games, if I'm not mistaken. Just old style gaming, and if you love Fruit Software, you'll probably enjoy this as well, although the movement is a little bit off here. I'm not, again, I don't know exactly what it is. It seems like you have like some unwanted momentum at times, and you'll just go left and right from your intended course. I don't know if it's like gaze-based almost, because it shouldn't be gaze-based, because it wasn't, it usually went in the direction that I wanted, but every now and then it just go a different direction than I wanted, so it really made this gameplay a little frustrating to play. What I did like about this game is all the different abilities you have and you can unlock, especially with the quick launch or quick play mode. You can get a grappling hook, you can get a teleporter, you get missiles with limited ammo, you get like this flamethrower, and you have your blaster, and you can upgrade all of them. So as you go along, you get more abilities, and when the enemies get tougher, you just have more weapons to deal with them with, and also you can upgrade the strengths of those weapons, which is pretty cool. But unfortunately, even though the worlds do look different, they have different themes, Yeah, a lot of it's the same. Like there's like this blocky architecture that's just kind of ugly to look at. So even though the colors might be different, it's a lot of the same style. Like you'll see like those blocks and water all around and some floating platforms, and you'll just see that over and over repeatedly. So even though it's different colors and maybe some different vegetation here and there with some different looking enemies, a lot of it just looks the same style, looks like the same style, or a lot of it's just the same type of enemy with just a different skin. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe some of the enemies do have different abilities. Some move faster, some were more aggressive than others. Some fly around, some teleport around, but their behavior was a lot of the same. And sometimes they just like didn't notice that you were there, or sometimes it seemed like they saw you from like a mile away. It's very inconsistent AI. And sometimes it is fun. I gotta hand it to Fruit. Some of the fights I had in this game, some of the duels, the shooter action was very well done when it worked. However, there's several instances where it just didn't work, and it just felt like you were doing cheap attacks against enemies just because they didn't see you, or they saw you from a mile away. They just started blasting at you, and you fall down and you die. And so, for every good battle, I had like several battles that weren't fun in this game. So there's some inconsistency there in the gameplay as well. There's not much punishment if you die in this game. And it's really easy to get back in the game. I guess that's a good thing. Because of that, I would not call this game a challenging game. But there are definitely some challenging battles that you'll have in this game. Some of the boss fights were difficult just because the enemies had shields and it was more than one. And just depending on what weapons you have at that time or the terrain, it might be difficult to be able to flank them. At the same time, during my 2 hours of gameplay, I didn't really see much variation in the gameplay. Getting the new abilities was cool though, and it definitely does bring a different aspect to the game. I think my favorite one was the grappling hook, and unfortunately I didn't get in this run, so I wasn't able to show that on the video. Now, towards the end of my video that I'm recording, something unfortunate happened. I fell off the ledge and fell into the water, and believe it or not, I couldn't get out. It really put a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm trying not to hold that against the game because it's really not that bad. It's just not my cup of tea. Some may enjoy this more than others. If you're a fan of Fruit, you'll probably like this more than I did. So if I have to rate this game, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's definitely better than the average free-to-play game, but it definitely isn't as good as anywhere near as good as the best shooters in VR, even some of the better procedural generation ones. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I don't know if this game belongs in my top 100 list of free Steam VR games, and yeah, my battery did run out there. Do you think this game should be in my top 100 list? If you believe so, drop a comment on this video and I'll definitely consider it. I'm Fast Lawyer. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.